Hi, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Tuesday live stream where we talk about photography and what's new in photography, and I answer any questions I can about photography or Olympus cameras in general, and do the best I can, and also catch up on how everybody's doing. It's always a treat for me to come out and do the live streams. It's highlight of my day, as I always say. And so welcome. And I see we have David Crooks. Good morning. Stephen Page, John Yusei, Leon. How are you? Oh, all back to level three. And yeah, yeah, that's rough. I don't even know what level we're at now, but honestly, you just have to wear a mask everywhere, you know. And there's at least in Virginia, on the Virginia side, I know the restaurants are partially open, indoor eating still. Because I just went the other day, it was fine. Um, and a friend of mine got COVID though. He's recovered just fine, but yeah, I guess you know, one of the key things was he lost his sense of taste during the. Hold on, I'm sorry. He lost his sense of taste, and that's taking a while to come back. But he looks fine otherwise. And oh, thank you, thank you. Sorry, probably didn't hear a thing, right? Okay. Actually, what I can't figure out. One second. So I had to. It's cold in here, so I just turned the space heater on. This room gets a little bit cooler than where I usually stay out in the living room. So I just have to add a little bit of space. Like right now it's 57 degrees in here. Well, yeah. It started out at 55 and then I turned the heat on the house this morning. So this room got up another 2 degrees, but I'll be all right. Anyway, hi Rob, just got the heat pump fixed. Awesome. Luckily the temps are back above the 20s today. Ooh. Yeah, that's cold, man. It's going to get down in the 30s today, I think. It might get down by this evening into the lower 20s or mid 20s here. But then it's going to warm up the next few days, so I'm going to try and get out. I say that every week, but I'd like to get out and do some photography. Whether just personal or just doing a photo job. I don't know if I'll get any more photo jobs this week. It's been slow the last quarter. The first, second, and third quarter were pretty good for me, but fourth quarter, wow! I think, not counting October, I've only had one job. Wow, it's been rough. But anyhow, let's see. I see a question here from Stephen Page. Says, "What's the best memory cards to use? I've only had to lose all the files and." Okay, you know, SanDisk is pretty reliable. There's two memory cards that I use pretty regularly. That's SanDisk, the Extreme Pros, and then also the SanDisk. Let me see. SanDisk. I think they're SanDisk Selects, but they're the green ones. God, I was doing all kinds of testing yesterday. Here it is. This is, yeah, SanDisk, I'm sorry, SanDisk Evo Select, and it's a green color, like this. You know, I buy the micro SD versions, it doesn't really matter. And right now, 512 gig is like, I mean, you probably don't need that much, but it's like $65. The 64 gig is like $30 or $25 right now. I'm sorry, the 256 gig is like $30. So, you know, if you're going to do video or anything, I mean, the 256 is good. If you're just doing photos only, you know, you can get the 64 or the 128, and that'll be more than enough. Same thing with the SanDisk Extreme Pros. So when you buy the Samsungs, make sure you get the green ones that have green paint on them, the Evo Selects, because these are made exclusively for Amazon. And the likelihood of getting a fake green Evo Select is much lower. I've never gotten a fake one. I've never gotten a fake SanDisk, but those I usually buy like at Best Buy or something local, or the camera store when they have it on sale, because they're kind of expensive otherwise. But these are usually always on sale at Amazon, and this is what I use. Now, if you're doing video, you want to make sure you get a V30 card that has that specification. Because even though you'll see like specs like U3 and V30 for video, U3 and V30 technically are the same spec, but V30 will do a sustained bit rate for recording video, whereas the U3 will have more like a bursty kind. And I've tested this, and I found that on the Samsung Evo Selects, these are all U3, which are fast enough for, you know, doing photography. But if you're doing video, I found that the 256 version of this card doesn't have a sustained bit rate at the high speed like when you're recording videos. But the 512 card does for some reason. So I may have to buy another 256 card to see, because they're cheap enough now, and I can always use it. And see maybe if I have an older memory controller for some reason, and the newer controllers are faster or more able to sustain the bit rate. But I don't know why that is, why the 512 is able to sustain, you know, V30 type bit rates versus just the regular 256 or the smaller 256 card. But that's what I use, and I've never had an issue. I have had an issue with the Samsung Select that's a red color. I believe it's the Evo, and it was a 256 card. And you know, let's say I take 300 pictures, there might be 2 or 3 on there that are corrupt. And I've reformatted the card. I did a low-level format, you know, where it's supposed to check every bit on the card, and it's not finding any problems. But for some reason, whenever I use the Samsung red color one, I got picture errors time to time. And then but the green ones, I've never had an issue ever, other than the sustained bit rate. Hi Ellie. What are you doing, baby? You want a treat? You want a treat? Here. All right. All right. And I did get my, as far as, you know, John was talking about his heat pump, I did get my furnace serviced because it broke down right on Christmas Eve. But luckily the repair guy was 10 minutes away. So after I got off the stream, you know, I called and they came out and fixed it in a couple hours. So I didn't have any really downtime. It was a nice day out weather-wise. I think it was like 60 degrees that day. It was crazy warm. So, you know, 280 bucks, good to go. One of the circuit boxes on the furnace, you know, just went bad, so he replaced it, changed the filter, you know, did some minor service to it. I should be good for a couple of years. I did get an estimate though to replace, because I just have oil furnace and that's it. You know, for air conditioning I use window units, which have been fine, but wow, you know, for a low-end system, 15,000, you know, minimum. More likely, he said, closer to 20,000. And then for the system I'm looking at, about 20,000. But it can go as high as 25,000 if I really want the first floor and the basement to be cool. The basement is the expensive part for some reason. And then removing the oil furnace and the oil tank out of the house. So I said, I don't know. My utility bills are pretty low. I mean, I suffer a little bit because it's cold or it's too hot sometimes, but man, $20,000, Hey, go to bed. Go to bed. That's just a bit too much. Even if they finance it for 2 years, it's $800-900 a month. That's man, I could buy a lot of gear with that money, right? Anyhow, let's see. Snow in Manchester. Wow. We've had some decent snow here in different areas. I mean, my sister got like 8 inches of snow last week, and I got nothing, and she's about 80 miles north of me. But it's amazing. We're on this line where we either get dumped on or we don't, on a regular basis. Like just 30-40 minutes away might get dumped on, then my house will not. So more often than not, I get less snow than a little bit west of me, like 30 minutes west of me. All right, you want another treat? Get down. I might have to put you out. Go to bed. Go down. Get down. Go to bed. Ellie, go. Lay down. Good girl. Now that I got her started, I don't know if I can get her to stop. I'll just have to put her out. Okay, John, we'll see you later. And Steven says, I always use SanDisk, will reformat after downloaded to PC. Yeah, I can't believe you lost everything on SanDisk. And Serge says the Sony Tufts are very durable but expensive. Yeah, I've never bought the Sony Tufts. Like I said, I've had good luck with the... Are you just going to eat that right off the table? You're not supposed to do that. Get down. Come on. Stop. I'm sorry. And John Follows is here. Good. And Music Sound Gear. Barry. Hello, Rob and everyone. Hope you all had a good Christmas. I did. Thank you. Yeah, it was a great Christmas, and I'm looking forward to the new year. 2020 has been all over the place for a lot of people, right? Some good, some bad. I mean, some things are going to happen in life regardless of what else is going on in the world. So, I just try to focus on the good things that happened and be thankful that, I can look forward to 2021. All right, I got to take her out. Let's go. Let's go out. You're just too hyper. Come on. Let's go. You can't come back in. Go. Come on. Go to bed then. Go to bed. She just let herself back in. I just fed her too, so I don't know why she's harping on me. But yeah, things, like I said, it's just all the good things that happened this year is what I try to focus on, and like I said, feel very lucky to look forward to 2021 and what we're gonna do in 2021. It's going to be a new year soon, and like I said, it's just really another day, right? New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, but psychologically, it's a whole new year, and I guess it resets your brain somehow, and everything is in your mind, right? How you perceive things, and if you perceive that you have a new year to start over, you will, and you'll do, you can plan and do great things for 2021. And they always say what
you always, it's not what happens, but how you react to things or how you respond, which is very true, right? Because things happen all the time, and it's just how you respond to things. So definitely there's been some all right, you're definitely going out. I'm locking the door. Come on. Come on. Here. I don't mind. I don't mind her being here, but if she starts jumping on me that much, then my allergies start to kick in, you know, because of all the fur flying around. You know, I like her sitting next to my side and petting her and you know, being each other's company, but when she gets like that, she gets really pushy sometimes. I mean, she's pretty much the boss in the house. Jeff says, when I download Sony AWR files to Windows Photos, they look fine for a couple of seconds and then they darken and barrel distortion kicks in. Any ideas? Yes. When you copy the raw files over to your computer, Windows will first show you a preview of the embedded JPEG image of the file. So a raw file is composed of the raw data plus a JPEG. And the JPEG will have all of the camera corrections, barrel distortion, plus any other settings that you have. So for example, the most obvious one is if you take a black and white picture where you do raw only, you load that into your computer, you're going to see a preview of the black and white image until the computer reads the entire raw file, which takes a couple of seconds, right? And shows you the actual interpretation of what it sees as a raw image. So that's all it is. It's you're previewing. Normally the thumbnails and things like that preview just the JPEG image built into the raw file. And I don't know what codecs you might have installed on your Windows, but they will that will determine which part of the raw file it's going to look at. If it's going to look at the JPEG, embedded JPEG, or if it's going to try and extrapolate the raw image and show you a thumbnail of that. And that's all it is. And you'll see the same thing a lot of times if you use Lightroom. The Lightroom will show you the embedded JPEG as a thumbnail first, and then sometimes it'll change while you're looking at it back to the raw image. Or when you bring it up again to edit, it'll show you the raw image. Barry says, not sure if this has been mentioned before, but got an email from Olympus asking my approval to transfer my details to OM Digital's. I have not gotten that email. But I would say as long as you don't have to give them any new information, meaning if they just say, you know, do we have your permission, yes or no, and you say yes, then I think you're fine. But if you have to fill out your name, address, phone number, any personal details in that transition, I would forget it. That's always a scammer type thing, and it's not something I've gotten or heard about even until just now. So I guess it's important for warranty type stuff, maybe. But it sounds like a scam to me. It doesn't sound legit. I would just ignore it beyond saying yes or no. Even just by saying yes or no, sometimes if the email takes you off site, it can be risky. So I can't. I would have to say, I would assume Olympus gave them the raw database. But if they need your permission for that information, then I don't know, when did you get that email? I haven't heard of that. Has anyone else gotten an email like that? Because I haven't seen it. It might have gone into a spam folder or something, but I haven't seen it. Seasons are real, but their importance is a construct. Interesting. That sounds very Matrix. And Digital Grandpa, oh my goodness. Yes, Happy New Year to you and best wishes. It's really good to see you. Digital Grandpa, we did a photo walk together, I don't know, last year or early this year. He came from, I think, Germany. Or he's German, but he lives somewhere else. I can't remember the details anymore. But we did a photo walk in Washington, D.C., and you'll see them in my Instagram, and that'll give you a time frame. But wow, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're still with us. I mean, not with us like as humans, but still on my channel and coming in and checking me out. That's really cool. Let's see. Oh, David Tellett's here. Good to see you. Good morning. And Walter says, Windows photos are also not color managed. Use Faststone Image Viewer or Irfan View on Windows to see color accurate renditions. Oh, okay. That's a good point. If you're using the Windows Photo app, I guess that would be the case. I was thinking more of a thumbnail file manager type perspective, not actually using the Windows Photo app, because in that case I would use like Olympus Viewer or Olympus Workspace, I'm sorry, or the whatchamacallit, you know, Lightroom or whatever app you have. But Faststone is free, right? And so is Irfan. They're both excellent. I use Irfan View myself for a lot of things, just previewing images, exporting images. I use it a lot because it's very lightweight, efficient. You know, I like a nice streamlined program that does one thing very well. I've never used Faststone, but I've heard of it many times. It's come up in the streams and in the forums, but it's not something I've ever used. And Leon is asking, Rob, can there be the same ribbon problem on the Panasonic 12-32 kit lens as on the 14-42 pancakes lens, as both zoom out? Potentially. The difference being that every time you turn the camera on and off on the pancake lens, it's motorized, so it's always going in and out. Whereas on the 12-32, it's a manual zoom. So you don't have to open and close it every time you turn the camera on and off. So there's going to be less wear and tear on the ribbon, I think, over time. Certainly, I think significantly less. But that said, I think really the Pancake 14-42, that is a design flaw, in my opinion, that is happening often enough that I hear about it. You know, not regularly, but time to time I do hear about it, versus, you know, never hearing about it or hearing about it one time. I've heard it many times. And Olympus says someone told me they sent it into Olympus and got it fixed for $86. So it's not a expensive fix, but it's not cheap either, right? For something I think is really a design flaw. You know, some people have been using theirs for years, no problem at all. But yeah, the 12-32, I think, just inherently from the fact that it doesn't automatically open and close every time you turn the camera on and off, will will mitigate wear and tear on the ribbon. But it would potentially, I guess, have the same potential flaw, right? Late to the show. Hey Thomas, how are you? Good morning from Atlanta. It's a warming trend, 7C. All right, so that's got to be closer to 40 degrees. Yeah, we actually starting out today at about 40 degrees, and then it's going to drop down down into the 20s by tonight. But then it's going to warm up again tomorrow, so that'll be good. Oh, Jeff Painter says he got the same email from Olympus, and it just took me to their website. Okay, and Serge got it. Wow, so a lot of people are getting this email. I haven't seen it. I'll have to look for it. But everything I own at this point is, well, my M1 Mark III is still under warranty. So, and I'm pretty sure I registered it, but I can't remember now. And Retro Gamer, oh my goodness, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, thanks for your videos. I recently got back into photographies and your videos on Olympus camera functions are really inspiring. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Jeff Painter also really likes Fast Stone. And Walter says, on the Capture One forums, people complain that their exported JPEGs don't look the same as the picture in Capture One. Almost all the times, these are Windows users with Windows Photos. So the question is, if they open up the JPEG that they exported in Capture, does it look the same? Or does it look different than the JPEG when they open it up in Windows Photo? That would be an interesting comparison. And Thomas says, is it just interwebs for me, or are others experiencing an intermittent feed from Rob? And then Jeff says the stream is buffering. Well, let's see. That's interesting. I'm checking my settings now. Hopefully you guys, I am seeing an error on my YouTube here. So I disconnected from my wireless and reconnected. And because it looks like it's on my end that I'm not transmitting enough. Let me try something else. Because we started out for a couple of minutes okay, but then it looks like right around 9:30, it looks like it started to have problems according to this widget. But okay, hopefully now it's okay. It looks like the connection now says excellent, because it did jump over to poor. I have a screen, it's putting a crick in my neck, but I have my stream page is over here. Man, I'm getting another error here. So let's do a sound and video check. Can everybody see and hear me now okay? Just chat something in the chat section for me. And there's about a 20-30 second delay for me to see it, so hopefully we're okay now. Yeah, Thomas says, so far so good. Scott says, good. Have you ever done food photography? AJER. No, I have not. Nothing serious, certainly nothing professionally, but I've not done any food photography. Robin Wong has a video on food photography. I haven't watched that one because I'm just not into food photography, but you can check that out, and that'll give you a good start at the very least, because Robin always makes excellent videos. Robin Wong, he has a channel on YouTube, and he recently did a food and food. Yeah, David is saying it's okay, except I haven't moved. I don't get that. Let me try. I don't know, it's saying excellent connection, but then there's no, I don't see any motion. Can you guys see me though, moving now? Or is it still frozen, David? Because I'm not, my screen here, what if I refresh this? Because I can see everybody left. I had like 50 or 60 viewers, and now I'm down to 30 something. Okay, now it looks okay. All right, everything looks good. Sorry about that. Hopefully we can move on from here. And Chuck is here. Elaine. Oh, hi, Elaine. How are you? I am moving, ain't I? And let's see. Music sound gear. Okay. Michael Voy. So Michael was kicked out and had to rejoin. And then everybody. So if you're having problems, just refresh your page. Oh, Ellie. And refresh your page, and then hopefully that'll solve the problem. And then make sure the little cog icon that looks like a little gear, make sure you're in HD mode to get the best image quality. Oh, people thought I went away, huh? Oh, yeah, that sucks. That sucks. I hate when that happens. And I did have a good Christmas, Elaine. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I met with some friends on Christmas Eve and spent the evening there, and then spent the next day, Christmas Day, with my family. Just my sister and her family, my two nephews. Could be UPS driving by. She hears that truck like, I mean, she can hear that thing when she's inside the house and all the windows and doors are closed. And Image Rider's asking, could you compare the Olympus 45 f1.8 versus the Sigma 56, and which do you prefer? I don't have the 56 f1.4, so I wouldn't be able to compare it directly. I think for all intents and purposes, I would stick with the Olympus 45 f1.8. It's close enough to the 56 in terms of focal length and aperture, right? And it's smaller and lighter weight. The 56 f1.4, the images I've seen, yeah, the bokeh's a little bit, you know, shallower, just a tiny bit. I don't think enough to make it worth buying over the 45. I wouldn't say that was the defining point. And the images, and they're also very sharp, right? So it may be a tiny bit sharper from what I've seen. Wide open, right? But I haven't tested it because, you know, whenever you use third-party lenses, you know, Sigma, like I did the Yongnuo, that's the only third-party lens I've tried with autofocus on my Olympus camera, and it sucked, the autofocus. And Sigma lenses, I personally have had problems with their autofocusing in the past on my Nikon gear. And when I mentioned that before, people have said that they had problems with Sigma autofocus on their Olympus cameras. I don't know if it's specific to this lens or something, because, you know, they have a lot of different lenses for Micro Four Thirds. But I think the problems are much more minor, right, than they were with the Yongnuo. So my gut feeling or gut tells me to recommend the Olympus 45 f1.8 then you don't have to worry about any problems with any of that. Now, if Sigma wants to send me a 56 for free, I'll be happy to do a review on it, because I'm going to test for all the things that I think matter, you know. Not necessarily critical sharpness. I'm not going to pixel peep 400%, but what's really critical is if the thing will autofocus or not, right? In single point and continuous, how smooth is the manual focus ring, and then if it nails autofocus consistently, right? Which the Yongnuo totally failed. Because I took, you know, a couple hundred pictures with the Yongnuo and the Olympus 45 side by side, and yeah, the Olympus nailed autofocus 99.9% of the time. I think there might have been one shot out of focus out of the hundreds that I took. The Yongnuo, many were out of focus. Some were tack sharp, some were just out of focus. And that's something I can't test for unless I actually have the lens, unfortunately. And how did I connect your camera to the face cam? Oh, I just used this Live Pro L1. I can probably show it to you. I have a video on this thing, but let's see. Yeah, I use this thing right here. It's upside down, but I can switch between cameras by sliding this slider like this. See? And you can see all the HDMI cables, and then there's a USB out. And that's how I do it. That's how the magic works behind the scenes. Yeah, Lane loves the 45 f1.8, and then Stephen Page says you're back to 50 plus viewing. Okay. Awesome. And thanks for your opinion. Yeah, sure, Image Rider. I mean, I just don't know enough about that lens. I mean, I know some users here have that lens. So if anyone has that lens, please chime in the chat section what you think about it. Because every time I see reviews online for lenses, they always test the lens by itself. It's very rare you see them compare it directly with a comparable lens. And then the autofocusing testing is, I don't know, I don't feel like it's adequate. You know, the few tests I've seen, you know, like look at my test on the Yongnuo lens, right? You know, I'm not particularly qualified to do lens testing, but I tested it in a way that I would probably use this lens because that's a portrait focal length. But then I also tested it outdoors for like a landscape, or also for video, right? Those tests were a little bit shorter because it's not really that kind of lens, but I did focus a lot on the different shooting modes: single point autofocus, continuous autofocus, face detect, you know, all these different things that the camera has to work with the lens to acquire focus. Because no matter how sharp the lens is, because that's all you see in these lens tests, is that, yeah, it's really sharp in the center, then when you get out to the edges, it gets a little soft, there's some vignetting, there's some barrel distortion, but you stop it down to f4, f5, it all goes away. And, you know, and they just go on and on about these other types of things that, honestly, you know, if you buy an Olympus lens, you don't have to worry about any of that, right? Because all of that correction is done in camera, the vignetting and distortion in particular. And when you buy these third-party lenses, that correction has to be done in post-processing a lot of times. So, you know, those kinds of tests, you know, like I think it's Christopher Frost Photography, you know, he does an excellent job in reviewing lenses. So I would check his channel to see if he has the 56 f1.4. And I know Gerald Undone, I think, just recently did one. They do excellent, but you can't watch one. You have to watch them both, right, to get a good feel, because they have very different approaches to their lens reviews. you know, just like I do, right? You know, I just put the lens on my camera and go for it, right? Christopher Frost has a very methodical way of testing lenses where he does test for sharpness, corner sharpness, different apertures, right? And then he gives his opinion, and he's reviewed so many lenses that he gives such a good presentation that, you know, if you want to know how sharp the lens is and stopping it down, where you stop it down to get the best out of the lens, he'll give you the best review. The few reviews I've seen by Gerald are much more technical, right? But he does check for autofocusing, and he talks about the technical aspects of the lens. So he gets, and he also focuses on video as well. But those are the two I would start with, and then check DP Review or CameraStore.tv. All these guys, you know, you have to watch them all and then extrapolate from all these different sources to see if this is the right lens for you. But that's the challenge I have with all these reviews. They look at the lens by themselves. You know, Robin and Peter and Jimmy, they may have that lens. I don't know. I don't think they do. Time to time, they'll do a comparison directly, right, between the two lenses. But I don't feel like they weren't quite as in-depth as I would do on the same lens. But they're testing like pro lenses and things like that, which I don't have. And the only pro lens I had is now a piece of junk. I'm just going to sell it for parts, I think. Because even if it's still functional, I haven't put it back on a camera yet. It's still a tiny bit of water inside. Very little bit. I think another few days it'll be finally dry. So I don't have any more pro glass. I have all kit lenses or primes, and not even pro level primes, right? To compare. And that's how I like, this was the lens that I used to compare all other lenses most of the time. I would say this is the pro lens, this is the kit lens, how do they compare to each other? Because a lot of times you already have the kit lens and you want to know if spending $600, $800 on a pro lens is going to make any difference. And obviously it will, but how much difference? 800 bucks worth? Maybe not, right? And those are the kind of tests that I do, kit lens versus pro lens, or third-party lens versus Olympus lens, right? These kinds of tests make sense to me because this helps you make a buying decision versus what you may already have. Because you have the focal length covered with a kit lens. And I've gotten criticism where people say, you know, I'm a big proponent of kit lenses and I never talk about pro lenses. And I don't disagree with that, right? I don't really talk about pro lenses because I don't own any anymore. But for 99% of the people out there, you know, the kit lens is enough. Even if you're an enthusiast, you know, if you're an enthusiast with lots of extra money, yeah, go for the pro lens. You're going to get the better image out of a pro glass every time, no question. Pro lens is going to give you better image quality, plus the other benefits of weather sealing and build quality and all of that. But from a consumer standpoint, you know, when you look at the statistics, right? You know, if you sell 1,000 cameras, you might only sell 1,500 lenses. So people on average are buying 1.5 lenses for every camera that's sold. So what do? They get the kit lens, and then sometimes they buy another prime or another kit lens, you know, another telezoom. And that's it. Most people, except people like us, enthusiasts, right, buy this pro glass. So I guess as a channel, I should cater more to people that are more enthusiasts and thinking about pro glass and willing to spend the money on pro glass. But it's hard for me to do that when I myself don't even use the pro glass, right? Because I find the kit lens is sufficient. And that's why it's hard for me, especially now that I don't have a pro lens anymore. It's going to be hard for me to do lens comparisons against pro lenses because I just don't have one anymore. I'm thinking I might buy another one. I just don't know if I want to spend $500 on a used one or $600 or $700 on a new one. You know, and for a lens that ultimately the only advantage I get is that constant f2.8 aperture, and that's not enough for me. You know, because the kit lens is, say, f4, right? And this is f2.8. That's only one stop difference on the wide end, 2 stops on the long end. You know, I can just raise the ISO from 200 to 400 or from 200 to 800, you know, and virtually get the same exposure at the same shutter speed, all that good stuff. And as far as depth of field goes, you know, there's other ways to do subject separation, right? You can do it with color, with light. You know, also how you manage your depth of field by your distance to the subject and the distance of the things behind the subject. So depth of field is really a very, very small part of why you would want a faster lens, in my opinion. I think the biggest reason you want faster lenses is for the faster shutter speed. So you can do more low light, more stabilized low light type photography, you know, and get sharper images, because sharpness is the most important thing of a lens. Well, not the most important, but I'd say being able to autofocus and acquire focus properly is number one. Number two is how sharp is the lens. And if you're buying an Olympus, you know, you're fine. Even with the kit lenses, you're going to get decent sharpness. And it only gets better as you pay more, because I think Olympus lenses, you get what you pay for. They're not bargains by any means, you know. You're not going to buy, like a lot of the Tamron glass for Olympus, I'm sorry, for Nikon and Sony and all, Tamron glass is a bargain. You get an excellent glass for a relatively low price, right? They're shooting above their weight in terms of price to value, you know, price to performance, I should say. Olympus, I would say, is you're getting what you pay for. Every dollar spent is well spent, but it's not a bargain by any means, right? It's not like, you know, I just spent $250 or $300 on a 45 millimeter f1.8. It's a great lens. It's the cheapest, one of their cheapest primes, and probably their best value lens that they have, but it's not a bargain, right? I mean, 50 millimeter f1.8 lenses on full frame cameras are $100 all day long, 200 at the most, and they are tack sharp. You know, they're already excellent. It's really hard to mess up a 50 millimeter prime at this point in our photography and technology and all of that. So I feel like the 45 f1.8, which is very comparable, not in terms of field of view, I understand it's like a 90 millimeter on full frame, but in terms of lens design and optics, a 45 f1.8 is not too different than a 50 f1.8. And, you know, it's $300. I think it's $400 brand, you know, with no discounts, like retail price is $400, but you can find them for $250, $300 all day long. Some people find them for less, you know, a lot less sometimes. They're much better shoppers than me, because I think I paid $250 used for mine a couple of years ago. So anyway, those are my thoughts on lenses. I just rambled for, I don't know, 10 minutes about that. I can't even remember what the question was anymore. Rob, any news on the frozen? Yeah, it still has a little bit of time to dry, Leon. A few more days, I think, but it's ruined. There's spots all over the elements. Every element has spots on it. The front element, the one right behind that, is just covered in spots. The rear element is covered in spots on the inside. I don't know. It looks like it's smudged. It might be fungus growing now. I don't know, but it's a total loss. Even if it's electronically sound, the optics are screwed. It might be good for some Lomo photography, right? Lomography, maybe. And Elaine loves landscapes with the 45. Yeah, a lot of people use those focal lengths for landscapes. And AGR is asking, have I ever tried the Canon 50mm f1.8 on the Olympus? No, I have not. I've done Nikon 51.8 and the Olympus OM 51.8. Both are great. You know, you have to stop them down a little bit to like f4 to get them really sharp, but they're I'd imagine the Canon's very similar. I think I only have one Canon lens that somebody gave to me and I've never used. It's a zoom lens. It's like a 75 to 300 or something. That's totally useless focal length. And the only Canon camera I have that is interchangeable lens is an old film Canon EOS film camera. So I don't have anything Canon. And oh yeah, the 8mm is a pro lens, so I misspoke. This 8mm fisheye is a pro lens. So, but this, you know, what am I going to compare this to, right? This is a great lens, and I got such a good deal on this. I got it brand new for less than 700 bucks. And I used this lens a lot professionally until recently. This last quarter, I had been using this most of the year in my real estate photography. But I switched back to using my Panasonic 7 to 14. Let's see. And the Morgan says, I have it. It is closer to the 45 f1.2 than the 1.8 bokeh, and sharpness are good. Oh, so the Morgan has the 54mm. I assume that's what we're talking about from Sigma. Corners on the M43 are good. Spectacular highlights, the specular highlights, not so good. Weighs more than the 1.8. My short telly of choice for EM1. So, okay, good. Thank you, DeMorgan, for sharing that. Like I said, I have no doubt it's a great lens. I just can't. If you know, sight unseen, I'm going to buy the Olympus glass. Is basically what I'm saying. Because if I had the lens, I could test it and give you a much more informed decision. But like I said, sight unseen, I'm going to buy Olympus. And Chug Eager says, I'm waiting for you to get the 40 to 150 f2.8. I need a justification to get one. Yeah, me too. I'm telling you. You know, it's $1,100 used right now. You know, more than that brand new. I have to wait. I just can't drop another $1,000 this year. I know there's only a few days left, but I'm gonna have to wait for like a can't pass up kind of deal. And I really like my 40 to 150 kit lens, you know, the $99 plastic fantastic. So it's hard for me to justify spending 10 times that or 11 times that amount when I'm pretty happy with the kit lens. Nikon will stop manufacturing cameras in Japan and move its production to Thailand in order to cut costs, according to reports. So I'm afraid they will close down like Olympus. If they're moving their production to Thailand, like Olympus moved to Vietnam, right? There's going to be a huge hit to their bottom line when they start producing their financial reports. So if that actually happens, whenever it happens, you're going to see a huge loss on Nikon's quarterly or annual reports. And then from there, we'll have to see if they can actually recover from that, right? So hopefully they thought it through. I mean, for Olympus, it was just such bad timing. They moved over to Vietnam. They took the financial hits. So when I saw the financial hits on their statements, it didn't bother me too much because they did kind of plan for that, to show losses in the camera division or imaging division. But then we had this pandemic, right? The COVID thing. And that really just, you can't take a loss and then get hit with a pandemic and take another loss on top of that. I think if we didn't have this pandemic this year, Olympus may not have been as motivated to sell. They still may have been, but not quite as much. So if nothing else, whatever their JIP, got a great deal, I think. And hopefully they do good things with it. And like I said in the original stream, months ago when we first heard the news, I really hope Olympus, was very, what's the word I'm looking for? I really hope that Olympus and JIP had a very clear understanding that Olympus is giving them their part of their heritage, their baby, right? And they want to see JIP do good things with it and not just, sell it off for parts, right? Like a lot of other brands that investment companies, they're just chop shops, right? So hopefully Olympus, and JIP had that understanding. And, publicly right now, by all accounts, that is the case, right? That JIP is going to continue the Olympus line, focusing on high-end and video is what they're saying, and maybe get rid of the consumer level or low-level cameras like the pen line. But you can't trust what people say publicly, right? Because the CEOs and their public whatever, they're cheerleaders for whatever's going on, because they do not want one bad thing to come out during the entire process, because that'll kill any potential for anything they want to do, whether it's grow the company or chop it up and sell it. They want it to be, they want to have the best, they want to put the company or the transition in the best light possible. So time will tell, right? Time will tell for all the camera manufacturers, Nikon, Sony, Olympus, what's going to happen over the next couple of years. Because you never know. You really never know. All you can do is make the best decision you can today and purchase the camera that you think is right, So I'm very content with my camera purchases right now. I just got the M1 Mark III, despite the rumors that were flying around even at the time. My EM5 Mark III, I'm set. And then I'm using the M1 Mark II as my webcam here as backup. And I have an EM5 Mark, I have plenty of cameras that are all extremely capable. And I have no concerns whatsoever with JIP, whatever they decide to do. Grow the business, chop it up and sell it. It doesn't affect me, because I'm already vested and know I have access to it, whether on the used market for lenses and cameras, or maybe, leftover stock in the camera stores, whatever. There's no shortage in the foreseeable future for me personally and professionally with Olympus cameras. And they are the only cameras that have the capabilities that I really enjoy using. The handheld high-res shot or high-res shot in general. The live ND on the M1 Mark III. No other camera is portable and movie capable as the EM5 Mark III. And has the great autofocus, continuous autofocus for video. Like all of the Olympus EM1s and the new EM5 III. So I'm set, no matter what happens. And I will continue to buy lenses for this system that makes sense to me as a business and as an enthusiast, right? Yeah, I might consider the 40-150 Pro as an enthusiast. I don't have any need for it professionally. But professionally, I'm hoping they come out with the 8-25 millimeter. If that does not materialize in the first quarter, I may have to just go with the 9-18 millimeter for my professional work. I know it's an f4, but that doesn't really matter. I'm shooting at f4, f5.6 all the time anyway. I can't, I will not shoot f2.8 or f1.8 for my professional work, because I need that depth of field. I need a wide depth of field. I need everything in focus. And that's why I like the Micro Four Thirds system, because it allows me to use faster shutter speeds and have that depth of field that I need for real estate photography. And a 9-18, you know, it's just, the 9-18 is like $500, right? When it's on sale. It's more than that when it's not on sale, and it rarely goes on sale. And used, I can find it for $300. So now we're kind of getting into a range where I might consider buying it. But I don't want to spend $300 to $500 when an 8 to 25 millimeter might be right around the corner. That'll be a much more suitable lens for my purposes. 8 to 25 f4 would be awesome because it has that little bit wider angle, 8 millimeter, and a little bit longer at 25 millimeter. That would be a perfect lens for me in my real estate photography. And if it's going to be a pro glass, all the better. If not, it's okay. I just want that focal length. Because sometimes 7 to 14, when I use my Panasonic, is a little bit limiting on the long end. And what I do is I put my kit lens on my 14 to 42 and take those shots, right? And like I said, I use my kit lenses professionally. They're fine, really. Serge says Nikon's ending camera production in Japan after 70 years. Wow. Yeah, that's huge, right? And Walter says Nikon's been manufacturing in Thailand for years. Maybe many of the Z bodies have Thailand stated. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Maybe they just need to ramp it up more, right, in Thailand, or be more capable for producing lenses and things versus, or they may be capable of doing anything that Japan can at a much lower cost, but because sales are down so low, they don't need 2 factories anymore. They just need 1. So they said, well, let's do it in Thailand. Why do it in Japan? And Elaine says, oops, I want your opinion on the purple mattress. Will you buy one and review? What the heck is a purple mattress? Never even heard of such a thing. I'm going to assume that's photography related, so let me look it up real quick. Maybe I can give you a snap opinion. It's a mattress in a box. I have a different kind of mattress, but that's only for certain people to know. Purple mattress photography. Let me see if that makes any difference. No. I have no idea what you're talking about, if it's photography related. Hi there, what are your thoughts on the 14 to 45? Has anyone tried? I haven't tried that lens. I would assume it's comparable to the Olympus version. Just make sure you only use that on Panasonic and don't use it on Olympus. Because on an Olympus camera, I don't know why, but Panasonic lenses never perform quite as well on Olympus bodies as they do on their own native Panasonic lenses. And Serge says, it's reported Leica is planning a cheaper M-mount rangefinder for release. I'd like to know what's cheap to them. Yeah, cheap to them might be $2,000-3,000, right? And Serge says, it's a shame that the 918 is all plastic. That doesn't bother me too much, honestly. As long as the mount is metal, it has a metal mount, because that tends to wear if it's plastic, right? Because that's... But being all plastic is nice because it makes it lightweight, in my opinion. Oh, you were joking. Okay. It's a memory foam like Tempur-Pedic. That's funny. Digital Cram Boss says, however, the Olympus 918 is a great lens. Not fast, but this is not a problem for indoor. That's true. I'm not a full frame advocate, but couldn't you get a wide depth of field and fast shutter speeds with full frame simply by f ratio and ISO if you need full frame can tolerate? Yes, you can typically get at least with the Panasonic S5, right? I have a couple of full frame cameras, right? This is my newest one. I could, right? I could shoot at a higher ISO, like ISO 400 or ISO 800, and get virtually identical performance in terms of noise versus an Olympus Micro Four Thirds at ISO 200, and that would mitigate the shutter speed issue or anything else I'm having. But then I could use a higher aperture for larger depth of field. Everything you just mentioned, right? It makes perfect sense, and I have no argument there at all. The reason I prefer Olympus cameras, in addition to the wider depth of field at base ISO, right, is the workflow that I can have with the controls and the automatic settings, the custom shutter, not automatic settings, but the custom settings that I can program in the bracketing. I mean, the workflow is so much easier for me than it is on any other camera I've ever used. So that, in combination with the fact that it's already has, double the depth of field effectively, whatever that means, at the same ISO, I can get a much wider depth of field. Just made it kind of a win-win for me. And it's a smaller, lighter system, all that. All the things that Micro Four Thirds is known for, right? Small, lightweight, good quality. But yeah, definitely I could probably switch, say, to using this. This is close enough. This has a 20 to 60 lens. That's close enough that I could probably get away with using this as is, as a replacement to my EM1 Mark III. Use higher ISOs when I need to. Sometimes, a lot of times I don't need to, but use higher ISOs when I need to, so I could use the higher aperture numbers, right? f5.6, for example. On this camera, I'd have to be at like f11 to get the same depth of field that I do at f5.6 on an Olympus, which is, that's a pretty substantial difference, right? So I'd have to slow the shutter way down. It just is a little bit, or bump the ISO. Like I said, it can be done, but this doesn't have the same workflow at all. Like, it doesn't have a custom shutter in it, and I use that a lot in my professional workflow. So were it not for the custom shutter mode, I could probably get away with using this camera for everything, video and audio, or video and photography. But right now it's just my video camera. I rarely use this for anything photography related, other than just to mess around or have, play around with it. Because it's a little heavier camera, it's bulkier. God knows the lenses are outrageously priced for it. So there's lots of reasons I use Micro Four Thirds, Anyhow, you made a valid point there that is 100% true with the Panasonic S5. Even, with a competent full-frame camera, you can raise the ISO to 800 and get the same depth of field, is the point. Rob would turn a purple mattress into black and white anyway. Yes, I used to hate black and white when I started photography. I was like, why? Why would anybody take black and white? It's like, I was very green. Now I love it. You kids today are spoiled by mattresses. My wife and I slept on the floor for the first 3 years. Now get off my lawn. Yep, and turn it mostly black. That's right, DeMorgan. I do crush the blacks. I do need to practice softer images, less contrasty images. And Elaine says, I'm trying to get spoiled, but it's expensive. Is it really? Let me see. $16.99. Well, that's not terrible, right? $2,000. Wow. How did I go from $16.99 to $19.99 from when I moved it from that side of the screen to the other? Anyway, it's just how bad my eyes are. It's just ironic. I enjoy photography and I can't see anything. I guess dyslexia doesn't affect your photography though, right? So I feel like I'm dyslexic sometimes. Look at that, $2,000. Well, that's a bit much. That's a bit much, isn't it? Oh, they got a picture of you, Elaine, in the promo shot there. Oh, look at that. That's cool. I mean, let's look at this from a product photography point of view, okay? We'll make this photography related somehow. But this line is crooked. It looks crooked to me. Maybe not. Maybe because of the blanket here. So they have a key light coming in from the right, coming up and hitting her from the bottom. And then it looks like they have another light coming this way and straight down. So some softer light coming in this way. Because look at the shadow here. You know, you need some shadows on this side. So if you have the light coming in from the right, hitting here, you probably have some light coming down from the top to create even these little bit harsher shadows. And see, there's lighting on this side, on the left side, that's being reflected off this wall, most likely. I'm just trying to figure out how they lit this scene. And this is your typical, you know, product shot, right? Just a white background and the product only. And this is your detail shot, right? Where you show the fine details. This is another detail shot. Another detail shot. Oh, this is a lifestyle shot, right? Because there's all kinds of product photography, and then you mix them up, right? You have the lifestyle shot, the detail shot, the product shot. So they have all three here, right? Lifestyle, lifestyle, detail, detail, and then standard product shot there, standard product shot there. And good lighting. Good lighting, nice and white. This guy's out of focus. That was a mistake. I would not have done that if I was taking this shot. And this window's blown out, right? Because I wanted to get this wall as white as possible, I guess. And then she's in focus, and this is in focus. But this is out of focus all the way, everything from here over. So to me, in my mind, right, I would have shot this at a wider aperture to get more things in focus, and then used more light, and then double exposed it and bracketed, so I would have got this window in, you know, not blown out, but actually see outside the window a little bit. And that may be a conscious choice by the product photographer to say, I don't want any attention going anywhere except on the product. So I guess you could go either way with making this window. One way or the other. Yeah, and there's some vignette. Thank you. Thank you, Kiloin. There's some vignette there. A little bit of vignette here. No vignette there on the product shot. Yeah, a little. Well, I don't know if this is vignette or if it's just shadows. But okay, anyhow. There's the purple mattress, everyone. Affiliate links below. Just kidding. Um, and has anyone experienced with the Laowa 7.5? No. I do not have that lens. If anyone else does, feel free to chat up digital, or to send a chat message to Digital Grandpa. I think if you say chat up somebody in the UK or in London, that means flirt with them, right? I don't want you to flirt with Digital Grandpa. I just want you to send a chat message if you have any experience with that lens. A Leica I sold for $2 million in 2018, 1924 version. I assume you mean $2,000 in 2018, not 2 million. If I see 2M, I think 2 million. Wow. You would be buying the high-end purple. It'll cost me $4 grand in Canada. Wow. And David says he just downloaded a photograph via VHF radio from the space station. Wow. That's really cool. That's interesting. How the heck would you do that? So, how to get pictures from the International Space Station via amateur radio. You're not kidding. You can do it. I'm looking at this page here, where it says something here. Man, I didn't know you were into amateur radio, or is it called ham radio here in the US? But anyway, that's pretty cool. If somebody said that to me like yesterday, I'd be like, you're lying. The purple 4 is my jam. 4 inches of that purple grid material, super expensive. And not just for you, man, anybody spending $4 grand on a freaking mattress, that's a chunk of change. And John Matthews says, I'm loving my 12 to 40. I haven't tried mine yet. I'm still waiting for it to dry. And Phil says, some poor soul who is new to photography is watching this right now and wondering, why is Rob giving reviews on a mattress? True that. Kaleman said, there's a little vignette in that shot. Yes. 10-minute warning. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Scott. No, it's 2M. I don't know what 2M means, John. I'm very confused by that. And Dave says, I think Rob is a vampire. Look at all the crazy hours he's on here. I don't think he's ever sleeps. Yeah, I sleep a lot. Too much. When I'm not live streaming, I'm out, man, like this. I mean, seriously, 5-10 minutes, if I'm not hungry and eat something, after the stream, I go to sleep. And then I wake up. Anyway. I'm going to do like maybe, I don't think I can do a 24-hour stream. I keep thinking about it time to time. But I might be able to do like a 12 or 16-hour stream, right? With just a couple-hour break here and there, like an hour break here and there. And I could run like videos or something in between while I'm eating lunch or something, but it's the perfect time to watch in Europe. Yeah, I was starting much earlier on Tuesdays, and then I realized that I really didn't start early enough. I'd have to start at 4 or 5 a.m. to make sense on Tuesdays, my time, for me to hit those people that are in that time zone that I'm missing. So I just decided, if I'm going to do Tuesday, I'll just start a little bit later, like 9 a.m. and get, 9 a.m. is not ideal for people west of me, but it definitely works for people east, like in the Europe and stuff. And DeMorgan says, I have a lot of lenses I buy for my mentor program. Keep the ones I like and give others to the mentees. Also rent for projects. Do not know about sample variation. As I get lens, I use it. Okay. And Dave Nelson is here. Greetings. Oh, awesome. Oh, you must be getting ready for the photo editing stream. That's why you're here. Still a little early to flame on. Oh my God, I haven't heard that since the Fantastic Four. But, all right. Now that Dave's here, I guess I can go and you guys can chat amongst yourselves, right? But I do need to get ready for my next stream. And are your flash recommendations still the same in 2021? Yes. Godox TT350 if it's your first flash and you're just going to start small. And then Godox 8200 if you need something a little more professional. And you're going to use off-camera flash. And then Godox has one in between, the V1 I think it's called, which is very good lens, very good flash as well. I'll do a video on my Godox flashes one day. I have 4 now, right? I have the TT350, the V1, the 8200 and 8400. So I have 4 different flashes at different power levels. It kind of doubles with each step, right? TT350, then I gain another stop with the V1. I gain another stop and a half, probably with the 8200. I gain another stop of power with the 8400. So, yeah, I have too many flashes now. But, yeah, nothing's really changed. I still like the Godox. And I'll give you 1 more minute to upload. Okay. Don't forget about you, Elaine. All right. All right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to get ready for my next stream. So thanks, everybody, for joining me today. I really appreciate, again, as always, taking time out of your day to join me in the live stream. I really appreciate that. And I'll be back on Thursday for New Year's Eve type stream. And I'll have to get some thought what I'm going to do for that. Maybe something different. Probably not. But you guys have a great, happy New Year if I don't see you again.